Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And today I'm going to be taking a look at another 2022 release, this time from the greatest and most iconic pianist of all time, and a gentleman who in my opinion needs no introduction whatsoever, and he's on my Mount Rushmore for the all-time greats in jazz music with Miles Davis, Chick Corea and Pat Metheny. I am talking about, of course, the one and only legendary pianist, composer, and bandleader Keith Jarrett, and this is his latest recording for ECM Records, Bordeaux Concert. So, Bordeaux Concert is a solo live performance that took place on July 6, 2016, at the L'Auditorium de Bordeaux in France during a European tour. And the music that's featured on this album is all improvised, so there's no original set pieces. Everything you hear on this album is all improvised and made up on the spot, which Keith Jarrett made a thing of during his long and celebrated and legendary career. And this edition is dedicated to a very kind and sweet lady who also happens to be a very dear friend of mine. And I hope she enjoys listening to me talking about this incredible live recording from the one and only Keith Jarrett. So let's have a look. So as you can see here, there is the credits and there's the tracks, and this features just Keith Jarrett on piano, so it's all solo piano performances. So all of the music is written and composed by Keith Jarrett, but they're also improvised as well. So none of the tracks have any titles to them. So it's basically Bordeaux Part 1 to 13. So a lot of the tracks on here are quite fairly long pieces. Like the first track is 12 minutes long, the second track is like 4 minutes long, and the third track is like 4 minutes long, and the fourth track is like 7 minutes long. Track 5 is 6 minutes long. Track 6 is 4 minutes long. Track 7 is like 7 minutes long. And track 8 is 5 minutes long. Track 9 is like 4 minutes long. And the shortest track on here, track 10, is like 2 minutes long and like 54 seconds. And then track 11 is like 6 minutes long. And then track 12 is like 5 minutes long. And then like track 13, which is the closer, is like a fairly shortish piece, which is like 4 minutes long. So the opening track is the longest track of the entire album, which is like 12 minutes and 45 seconds. And what I like about Bordeaux Concert, it's a very musical album. You know, I'm not saying that the other solo piano albums that Keith Jarrett's done in the past, they're not musical. They are, but I found this album to be very musical and very different to what he's done in the past. You know, a lot of Keith Jarrett's live recordings, as I mentioned, they're all improvised. So you don't really necessarily know what you're going to get with Keith Jarrett until you start listening to it, what he does with his playing. But on this album in particular, as I've noticed when I listened to this a few times, there was a lot of tunes here, you know, very tuneful, very pleasant to the ears, and I found this really enjoyable. You know, as I said, not saying that I don't enjoy Keith Jarrett's solo piano albums. I love all of them, especially the Cone Concert, which is, as we all know, absolutely legendary. But I found this album to be really, really good and really, really enjoyable. And, you know, anytime you hear Keith Jarrett in a solo piano situation, you know it's going to be good because you always get that feeling when you hear Keith Jarrett playing the piano. He almost like he plays from the heart, he plays from his soul, and he never leaves you short. He always gives you everything he has and leaves it all out there on stage. And you can really hear that in the music. And, you know, as I said, anytime you get Keith Jarrett in a solo piano situation, you know you're going to be getting something very special. And each time you hear Keith Jarrett, you always hear something new from him. He never gives you the same performance twice. You know, every solo piano performance you hear are different. And I think that's what makes Keith Jarrett not just an outstanding pianist, but an incredible improviser. Because, with any situation, if you went to 5 Keith Jarrett live concerts, you're not going to get the same thing. They're all going to be different. But with this album, I found a lot of the music, as I said, very tuneful, very pleasing to the ears, and very enjoyable as well. So I definitely put this album as one of my favourite Keith Jarrett albums from recent years. And it's very, very enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable listening experience. So, standout tracks for me are track one, which, is like 12 minutes long, but really brings you in. It doesn't how shall I put it? It doesn't necessarily warm you up. It's just like, boom, here we go. Keith Jarrett's here. Let's do this. So it's a great opener. As I said, 12 minutes long, but those 12 minutes just fly by. It's a really good, strong opener. And like I said, none of these tracks have any titles. It's just parts 1 to 13. But part 1, which is a 12-minute track, the opener, very, very good. Part 4, it's a great track as well. Part 6, another great track. And part 11, another great track as well. And the part 10, which is like 2 minutes, that's very, very lovely. It's very, very soulful. And the closer, which is like part 13, another great track as well. But all of this from start to finish is absolutely beautiful. It's a really, really lovely recording. And when it comes to ECM, and especially Mavriacha, you're going to get the absolute best. And it's a great sounding album, as you'd expect from ECM. The production is fantastic. The acoustics and just the sheer live feel of this concert is really outstanding. And you always get the impression that you almost feel like you're there. You're there in front of Keith Jarrett, listening to him playing and putting on the show for the ages. And it's just absolutely brilliant. I absolutely loved it. This is a really, really good album. And I would highly recommend it, I would say. If you're looking to get into Keith Jarrett's solo piano albums, obviously I'd recommend the Cone Concert, which goes without saying. But I think with this album, I think it's very good. I think, it's one of Keith Jarrett's best albums. Not saying Keith Jarrett has ever done a bad album. He hasn't. They're all good, but I really put this one up there. I think this one's definitely worth checking out if you're looking to get into Keith Jarrett's more recent stuff. I think this is a good place to start. So there you have it. Keith Jarrett, Bordeaux Concert. Once again, another masterpiece from the greatest pianist of all time. Enough said. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What's your thoughts on Keith Jarrett Bordeaux Concert? Did you enjoy it? What's your favourite track? Is it part 1, part 2, or part 3, or part 4, part 5, or 6, or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, or 13? Or did you just enjoy the entire album? There's no right or wrong answer. We all have our favourite tracks. You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And the next time I will be talking about Keith Jarrett, I will be talking about and taking a look at his entire solo piano catalogue and all of his classical works. So make sure you don't miss those future editions. And also, as I mentioned at the beginning, special shout out to my dear sweet friend. Hope you enjoyed me talking about Keith Jarrett Bordeaux Concert. This is for you, and much love to you as always. So until next time, take care everybody and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.